Hello, it is I, Digimon Pal, and once again, I'm here, but with a different sort of kind of video. So, recently, I've been seeing a trend, people streaming, people making videos, like, I first noticed it when, Vinny from Vine Sauce was doing videos on his old, like, playing cards and, like his Pokemon cards and whatnot. And, and then, just recently, just a little bit ago, I was actually watching, Jeff the Hero stream. He picked up some new cards, and yeah, there's been a resurgence in Pokemon cards. It seems like I think it partially has to do with the McDonald's tie-in promotion. Hey, kitty cat, we got a kitty cat here with us too, and she's a very sweet kitty cat. But yeah. I'm certain the McDonald's promotion that I think they're still doing it right at the time of recording this. They were doing Pokemon cards promotion, but yeah, I wanted to join in though, and you know, I wanted to go through my old trading cards here, and it's not just Pokemon cards. In fact, a good bulk of this is Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's just much more than Yu-Gi-Oh though. There's some Pokemon cards in there. There's some other miscellaneous ones in there as well. But while I was digging up, I came across, you know, just some collectibles I just had stored in the closet. And yeah, just, you know, a bit of random stuff here and there that I've collected over the years. The Rocky Meat being a personal favorite of mine, as well as the Dragon Ball Evolution's Goku figurine that, yes, I do have that, and it is still sealed. I actually got that just as a joke. But if it, you know, if it ever comes to that, I come across that actor, I'm gonna ask him to sign that. And I don't know if anybody remembers the Harry Potter action figures when that was, I think, only Sorcerer's Stone was a thing. The movie Sorcerer's Stone was just a thing when those toys came out. Those were some pretty cool toys back in the day. But anyway, yeah, trading cards. And this is nice, too. I can just reminisce about, you know, particular things for trading cards and whatnot. This is the big, thick binder I have. And then I got another box here. This one's just nothing but Magic the Gathering. But this is, like, the older style Magic the Gathering cards. Like, because for a few years, I did play Magic the Gathering quite a bit. And I actually had, like, a bunch of the newer cards. I do not own those anymore. It was, like, a big old box of them, like official Magic the Gathering box. I forgot what they call it, a certain term for those boxes, but I used to have a big box of those. I did sell those newer cards to a Magic the Gathering card group. Well, obviously they don't do it no more with the pandemic going on, but they gather around once a week at the game shop, local game shop, up here by the beach, and I sold it to them because at that point I wasn't really playing Magic the Gathering too much. And then again, I mean, I'm not playing Yu-Gi-Oh as much, but I keep my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I'm not getting rid of these older Magic cards unless, you know, something happens, or if somebody's like, hey, can I have that one particular one, or you want to trade something for that one particular one, that's fine. But as a whole, I'm going to keep it because my father actually gave this box. This is like, most of these are his original Magic the Gathering cards, because before I got into Magic the Gathering, he was actually pretty into Magic the Gathering back in the day as well. He didn't play it as long as I did. Like, he played a couple years, and then, yeah, I want to say like maybe not even a couple years. Maybe it was just 1 year. And then he actually played, believe it or not, my dad actually played a little bit of the Pokemon game, but he immediately stopped. He's like, you know what, this Pokemon trading card game is kind of like Magic, and if the rules haven't changed too much in Pokemon, I can see the similarities. But yeah, we're gonna go through the book, the binder here. I actually need to get a new binder here. Gonna change the angle here, so I apologize about any terrible lighting here. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't the first card game I got into. It was the first one I got into actually playing. Like, before this was Pokemon trading card game. I collected some of those, but I never actually played the Pokemon card game. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like the first actual card game I actually played. And honestly, I never looked up the value for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards unless it's like something very specific. But I honestly probably don't have anything too worthwhile. If somebody was to ask me, hey, you want to play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'll be all for it. And I'm actually, with this resurgence of the Pokemon trading card game, I'm actually thinking about picking up some newer Magic the Gathering cards. Just to have something around, you know, if anybody ever wants to play anything. Now, some of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, I want to say good half of this was mine growing up, and the other half was my brother's growing up, and he just like, here, you can take these, and I'm like, okay. So I just kind of mashed the two together here. Everything is alphabetized. In terms of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are alphabetized in this binder. Not too sure if this is like the actual best way to store these things. And I probably was like a lot of kids. I took these to school. Played games with the buddies. Got some stolen. That's cool, but you know, that's the risk you take. Like the ones I got stolen from school. And honestly, it was my fault. You know, I didn't secure them enough in my backpack, and they fell out, and, you know. Most of those that was stolen was really nothing too noteworthy that I recall. I know it was some of the exclusive ones that came with some of the video games. I remember that. Because, along with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Craze, I was also really into some of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, like Bossbound Kingdom I was into. Duelist of Roses, I was really into Duelist of Roses. Fantastic soundtrack in that game, by the way. In terms of tournaments, though, I never actually entered any... Big Eye was always the card I used in my decks. Yeah, I never really joined any tournaments if it wasn't just like at a friend's house kind of tournament. You know, just a bunch of friends doing tournament style matches. I've got a Blue Eyes. Oh, I actually had a Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. The last time I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Synchros was becoming a thing. Like, they were just getting their start over here. Celtic Guardian. At one point, I was going for trying to collect just an enormous amount of Celtic Guardian cards. Celtic Guardian is my all-time favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster. Still is, too. I think he's still a very cool design. So, yeah, there was a point where I was, like, trading off, like, just random cards just to get Celtic Guardians. Like, you really want this? I'm like, yeah. This is actually my first one. You can see how beat up it is. Yeah, Celtic Guardian. You could say he's like my Karibo, I guess. And I like a lot of the card designs. The artwork was always something that I always liked about trading cards. That's why I was like really into Magic the Gathering too. I like just the random art in it. And same as with Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, I like some of the art designs in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like some of them are actually callbacks to old Konami video games. Like there is one, I don't know if I have the Gradius one, but I know I have the one that's based off of Solid Snake. Pure Mermaid was also one I played in my decks. But yeah, Synchros was just getting their start when I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And honestly, that's probably when I stopped collecting Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards too, was when Synchros were coming out. Like, I have a few Synchros in here, I'm fairly certain. My main deck, I play Gravekeepers, if anybody was curious. The Gravekeeper deck was what I played, and probably don't have all of those anymore, but I do have a few of the Gravekeepers that I kept in here. Oh yeah, the level cards were becoming a... I don't know how old these were by the time I stopped playing. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX on the telly was still going on, I believe, by the time I got out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I remember watching GX, But the one after that I did not watch. But I should mention, if anybody actually sees something, they're like, hey, you want to trade something for that? You know, as long as it's not something too sentimental or something I'm really attached to, yeah, I'm all for trading and whatnot. And it's fun. It's fun trading stuff. Again, I just like looking at the designs a whole lot. Drill Bug was another one I used a lot in my decks. Like, I couldn't even tell you what the rule, like the official rules for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now. They change it every so often. Like, I don't even know if Pot of Greed is still banned or not. I played around with the Elemental Hero cards a little bit. I remember messing around with those. And having a lot of fun with those playstyles. Got quite a bit of that one. But quite a bit of those. I remember getting like bootleg Yu-Gi-Oh cards back in the day too. Like, you would go like the flea markets and whatnot, and you just see these random Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and they were bootlegs. And sometimes I bought them because I was, I was a dumb little kid. And I think I have a couple of those bootlegs still in here, and I could just show them real quick. I noticed these. I work at Walmart, and so I go by the card. We got like a little card aisle right next to the registers up front. And I noticed these characters are coming back in popularity, so they must have done something to enhance their playstyle in the game. And I like their designs. They're really cool designs. I think these were the only ones I own. But yeah, I noticed them on a starter set or something like that, so they must be doing something with them now. Could not tell you the value of any of these. Pharaoh Imp, that's a pretty old one. I always liked the Fire Sorcerers. I don't know, the art style was always unique. Do you actually have listed who the artist is on some of these? I would think so. Oh, maybe not. I guess you would have to just go look that up. A little blurry, sorry about that. Flame Swordsman. I remember how funny it was. My brother, he was if I'm not mistaken, he was a fan of Flame Swordsman from the show, and when he got him, he was like, why is he a fusion card? Of course, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series was, if we're not counting Season 0, the original one did not play by the rules whatsoever. It was all kinds of a mess. It wouldn't be till, like, Battle City, I believe, until they actually got into the actual rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! Gambler the Legend was another card that I used quite a bit in my decks. Some Gilfrey. I think Gemini Elf is a pretty old one. Giant Soldier of Stone. I'm just taking my time just looking at these. This is probably going to be a longer video than usual just because of the nature of it, just going through all these. Yeah, here's all the Gravekeeper ones, and I used, like, every single one of these in a single deck. That was what my primary deck was based around, was the Gravekeepers. They were pretty cool, the card designs. I like them. If I was to build a deck now, I would probably be a little bit more experimental. Like I said, mentioned earlier, the Elemental Heroes was something I played around with, but Gravekeepers was always the one that I kind of stuck back to. Hain. I don't know what it is about Hain, but he was always in my deck, and I always just found that funny. Harpy Girl, the Harpy Girl cards. I think one of the... No, Harpy's Feather, if I'm not mistaken, was the one I was including in one of the video games. Harpy's Bro. I always liked Harpy's Brothers design. He reminded me of a character from Tactus Ogre. Let Us Cling Together. Campus, I believe his name was in that game. He always reminded me of that. And Harpy's Brother, really cool design. I really like his design. It's another card that I use quite a bit in my decks. What was his effect again? This monster can attack twice during the same battle phase. That's why. That's what I used to do whenever my opponent didn't have any cards on the field. I just used that, and, you know, at 2,000 damage, easy. And he was only, what, 4-star? 3-star, so you could summon him fairly easy. If the rules haven't changed by then, that is. Just getting, I'm just looking, seeing which ones I can point out. Insect Knight was another one that was in my deck. I remember back in the day, I thought about doing an insect playstyle deck, but I never got around to it. Because once again, I always just fell back on the old Gravekeepers. But I actually have quite a bit of insect cards. It's kind of curious why I never actually went and tried to make a deck out of those. Changing number 7, I like that design. Yeah, here we're getting some of the Synchro monsters. I did mess around with the Junk Warriors whenever, hey, kitty cat. I did mess around with the Junk Synchros when I did the Elemental Hero deck. Cat's playing around me right now. Kaiser Seahorse. I believe this came from a game. This was one I really liked, too. I just took him out of the thing, too. Just realized that. SKE015. Probably not. He probably got a re-release, but I'm fairly certain Kaiser Seahorse came from a video game set. If I'm not mistaken on that one. That's how you can tell if you just looked at the, it's not wanting to focus, but right underneath the picture, right here, is like their little ID number, and that tells you what particular set they came from. Like some of these probably came from like the Yugi Kaiba starting sets back in the day. I probably still have some of those. Like I wonder if he's actually from that, or if he's just from a regular SKE05, maybe not that one. It's funny how you can remember some things and you can't remember other things. Lavrevois was one I played quite a bit. Oh yeah, I actually did own 2 pieces of the Exodia. They're probably really not that rare, honestly. Lorda D. Very unfortunate name. Like, they could have fit Dragon on there. Like, come on. Lord of D. Machine King Prototype was another card. Oh, that's right. I did do a machine deck. Yeah, the machine deck was the very last set that I played. Yeah, it was Elemental Heroes, Machines, then I went on to Gravekeepers. That's right. That's right. I remember the machine deck being pretty good. This is the guy I used quite a bit. That's a very angry panda. Is that, sorry, the camera, I can't really see the name when it's hologram. Like that. Oh, it's a Red Eyes Black Dragon. I think a few years ago, they tried to, like release cards specifically made for Red Eyes Black Dragon to try to buff him up. Let's see. Yeah, like for this one, for example, I think this says SDJ. I don't remember if that means standard deck Joey or not. Probably not. Because I don't remember a Joey back in the day having a starter pack. I think it was only Yugi and Kaiba. There's actually, I remember watching this guy on YouTube. He would actually go in depth about particular monsters and their backstory. Like, some of these actually do have, like, a backstory. And I believe this one in particular has one. Yeah, because there's this guy. Yeah. I remember him doing a video on the on this particular dog and his line of cards and how depressing it was. It's a pretty interesting YouTube channel. Millennial Scorpion, that was one I used in my Gravekeepers. Man, some of these, I honestly don't remember having. Like, most of these I remember is like, yeah, I remember having this one, this one, this one. I think this guy was another one I used in my Gravekeepers. Mystic Swordsman. I remember trying him out at some point. I'm surprised I never did like a Human Warrior Yu-Gi-Oh deck, because that's, in Magic the Gathering, Red White Humans is what I ran. I always liked her design, Nano Breaker. Again, I just like looking at the art designs. They're pretty cool. Yep, here's two more of the... I only have two of the obnoxious Counting Guardians. Oh god, yeah, I remember these guys. The Ojama brothers, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why. I just love the fact that Overdrive, it's just a tank, a battle tank. I always found that silly. I think we're starting to get closer towards the end here. Well, we're only in the piece. Parasite. I remember... Wait, did I do an insect deck? I remember using Parasite. I do specifically remember using Parasite. And I think when I played him at the time, he was limited to 1. I couldn't tell you what he is now. It's a pretty good card. Well, I say that, but, you know, he's probably useless by now. I think Parasite was also one that came with a video game. What do these two say? PSV and... Oh, they're both PSE. Okay. I'm sure some of those ones that got released in the video games came later on in the booster packs. Poison Mommy was one I always used a lot with my Gravekeepers. Pumpkin King. That goofy card. I think she was another one I used. Yeah, she was another one I used. Don't remember which specific day. Probably the Gravekeepers. I remember seeing some of these... Oh, hey, I had original Black Eyes. Black Eyes. Red Eyes, Black Dragon. I remember in Frostbound... Or not Frostbound Kingdom. Forbidden Memories. That, how cool it was seeing these monsters in 3D. Like, the video game 3D, even though we saw them in the cartoon, but, like, in that PlayStation 3D aesthetic. I gotta tell you, if you ever go back and listen to some of those songs in Forbidden Memories, it's like, man, some of these songs is like Vaporwave style game music. It's a similar thing to it, some of those songs in Forbidden Memories. I'm gonna have to go back and play that. I think I gotta find another copy. I'm fairly certain I don't have mine and no more. That was another one I used quite a bit. This guy, oh, I love samurais. There's like one of my favorite, like, I don't know what you call it, like class thing you can do in fantasy games and whatnot. Anyway, I love samurais. They've always been something that I thought were really cool. And I remember specifically getting this guy, and I'm like, oh my god, I must use him no matter what. The Sasuke Knights, or the Sasuke Samurais, were somebody. I also used some of them too. Again, I apologize if I mispronunciate, just like how I did with that word, any of these names. I'm just a humble Southern man. Let's go Redbird. Sonic Duck. That card was also goofy. They actually had an episode where he was not like the main focus, but he was a plot point in that episode. It was the where they go into the simulation. This was like right after Duelist Kingdom and right before Battle City. And yeah, because they had to fight like Kaiba's executive roundtable business meeting guys who were like a 7-headed dragon. And they each, like, controlled a head or something. It was pretty funny. This one came with the movie? That can't be right, because I never got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie as a kid. EPIEN003. Could that have been with the GBA game that came with? Yeah, there was a good point where I was like buying up Yu-Gi-Oh games like crazy. Dungeon Dice was also another video game that I really enjoyed, and I liked the episodes they focused on Dungeon and Dice, and that was always one particular style of Yu-Gi-Oh game I wanted to play, but it just never caught on. Like, nobody around here was playing that at all. Alright, here's the one that's based off of Solid Snake. The 13th Grave. The Calculator was another one. I had to run a machine-based deck. Yeah, I do remember doing a machine deck now. Yeah. So, okay, so that's 4 that I did then, if I'm not mistaken. The Elemental Heroes. No, Insects. No, I never did Insect. I just included Parasite, and everything. That's right. So I did Gravekeepers, Elemental Heroes, and Machine Deck. That's right. It's coming back to me. Gilgamesh over here. I mean, that's not his name, but, you know. The 6 Samurais. I remember trying to get a complete set of these. Because, again, I'm a nut about samurais. The Trojan Horse. The Amazon cards, I heard, were pretty decent back in the day. The Wicked Worm Beast. Time Wizard. My favorite card. Token. This guy was pretty cool. I think this one I actually got from my brother, if I remember correctly. Trapmaster I remember using quite a bit. Like early Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing. Alright. And that is all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards I got. So, now we go on to Mortal Kombat cards. Here, I'll flip it over here so it's a little bit better. I remember these. My dad actually collected these, and I believe... I was about to say, and I believe he gave them to me, but yeah. These are like old Mortal Kombat cards. It's funny how they... I think they literally just took screenshots of the whatever monitor they were playing. I'm fairly certain it is the arcade. Yeah, that's got to be the arcade version they took pictures of. And on the back of them, there's like all kinds of little goofy things. I think it's just move sets and whatnot. Hi, Fireball, Game Gear. Oh wow, that's specifically the Game Gear version. Well, I mean the move. So hey, if you want to know how to do a Fireball in the Game Gear version, even though I don't think this screenshot... Oh my god, I'm looking at the... It looks better on the phone than it does in person. Holy cow. That is very blurry screenshot there. But yeah, these old Mortal Kombat games. Trading cards. It's pretty funny. Okay, so I did not fill the backs of those, probably because that's all the ones I have. So let's take a look at some of these. Rollwood Spids, Genesis and Super Nintendo. Keep tapping low tick to continue spinning. That's how you spin in real life, by the way. You just got to keep tapping the low kick. We just looked at that one. Oh, no, we didn't. That's a different one. Teleport, down, up. Forward, high kick. For low punch, for the low fireball. Bicycle kick. Hold low kick for 4 seconds. Notice how none of these are like the arcade ones. Commands. Or, yeah, none of them are the arcade ones. Listed specifically. Very briefly, I collected Harry Potter trading card games. This was when Harry Potter was huge. It never got Pokemon huge, but it got pretty big there for a moment. I remember that. Like, there was Harry Potter merchandise everywhere. And sadly, we all know about the author of Harry Potter, but Harry Potter's always going to have a special place with me. That series actually helped me get into reading and literature and whatnot. Like, I cannot stress enough how... I know it's going to sound cheesy, but how significant Harry Potter was to me growing up. Just simply, like, it literally was the books that got me into reading. And what I liked about those books was they actually grew up with the audience that was reading them, and I thought that was always a neat thing. Never played the Harry Potter trading card game. I could not tell you anything about it. I just picked them up because I was like, oh, cool. I like trading cards. I like Harry Potter. And I just bought a couple cards, and that was it. These are the newer stuff I got in the binder. These are my, like, limited run trading cards that comes with limited run video games. And I got quite a bit of them. More so than I actually thought I had. And I think these are, like, nice little extra bonuses that you can get. Like, most of these are, like, weirdo RPG games. This one, I want to stream at some point, but I got so many games that I've started that I need to finish. At some point, I want to stream this one because this one is actually pretty cool. I like this one a lot. I played this one. It's okay. You can clearly tell with this one. Well, with both of these, truth be told, they started out as gacha games on ISO before they were ported to PS4 and then actually got a physical release. Now these are like miscellaneous. Oh, not yet. We got a few more limited run cards here. But now we're getting into like the miscellaneous stuff. Like these are just like little oddball things that I have. Like the Scooby-Doo Ghostly Games Pocket Pack and Collector Card. I could not tell you. 5 of 6, apparently. I think this came from a cereal box. I think both of these came from the same cereal box. I got a Patrick Star first edition. I got a first edition Patrick Star. These is what is left of my football cards and baseball, sports cards basically. Just these 4. I had given them all to my stepfather because he was more of the sports guy than I am. Like the closest thing you can have me play, have me associate with sports is professional wrestling, which these are fairly new. Sorry, I thought the thing got knocked out. But, yeah, these wrestling cards, they're fairly new. I want to say they're, like, just, like, 5 years old. My dad collected, my dad, yeah, my dad, not my stepfather, but my dad, he collected, wrestling cards, and he's got, like, some of the older ones with the WCW. But, we picked up a couple of cards, and he gave me some of his duplicates. So I got a few of those. Boogeyman, Undertaker, RVD, Ric Flair, which he is still alive. Last I checked. Johnny Nitro. Oh no, this is Johnny Nitro. This is before he became John Morrison. Some more. Booker T. Ugh, Hulk Hogan. Not gonna lie, when I'm growing up as a little kid, I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. Movie tickets. I used to collect the movie tickets and kept them. Yeah, and that lasted for a little bit. It started when I was dating my ex. And I don't know. I just was attached to keeping these. I stopped doing that at a certain point, I believe. Well, we'll go through them here. Like, first Sunday. I don't think they have anything on it. Twilight, yeah. You could tell I was in a relationship. Underworld, that was a pretty cool movie. Dragon Ball Evolution. Okay, I didn't see this with an X. I saw this with a group of buddies, and we actually had the theater to ourselves when we watched this, so we had a great time riffing on that movie. Transformers 2, which I actually don't remember seeing that. Drag Me. That was a pretty good horror movie. The Princess and the Frog. Alice 2D. Everybody hated this movie back in the day, and I thought it was okay. Oh, there's actually the date on it. Wow, that was 11 years ago when I saw that. Muppets. Saw that with my dad, actually. I got a funny story with that. He, I think Avengers might have been playing around this time, too, if I'm not mistaken. My dad, me and him, I was in West Virginia visiting him at the time. We went to go see a movie, and, he went, this is probably where I get this from. It's from my father. He goes up to the guy. This is after we bought the tickets. This is the guy who checks you in with the tickets, like rips it at half or whatever. And he's like, "You got your tickets ready?" He's like, "That's right. We got." He like literally slaps his hand on the podium. He's like, "It's men's night out. We got 2 tickets to Muppets," and the guy just stared at us. Good times. That is blurred. I cannot tell what that is anymore. That looks like it might have been Avengers. No, that one's Avengers. I don't know. And here's some more miscellaneous. These are like Yu-Gi-Ohs. This came from the Dungeon Dice series line of games. My foot's asleep. Sorry. Yeah, these cards in particular came from the Dungeon Dice series. These are the bootlegs. Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You could probably tell right off the bat just looking at them that the font is just a little off. They feel a little off as well. They just don't look right. But I think the font is probably the dead giveaway with these. And here we go. I mentioned Pokemon earlier. I used to have a lot more than these. Just the passage of time, I couldn't really tell you what happened with them, but I don't have anything special. I do have like these old Pokemon cards that came from the was it Burger King or McDonald's? I've not seen a thing on here that will indicate that. They came from one of the fast food restaurants. And I remember like, oh, cool, they got those. And then you get them, they're like, this ain't the Pokemon carding game that I'm thinking of. They were like little factoids. This was a tie-in for the Pokemon movie. Mewtwo Strikes Back. Even though he never stroked the first... I don't know. Weird name. But I got those two. And then some of the original Pokemon cards I got here. Like I said, nothing too fancy. These are just like, probably like really the common ones that I still have. Could not tell you what happened with them. But again, I like the art styles for these as well. And these are all alphabetized as well. I got a mix of Gen 2 and Gen 1. Gust of Wind. And that's it for the Pokemon cards. Not too much to say with them. Digimon, I remember these were becoming a thing too. They got fairly popular in my area, like back in the day in school. People bring them to school, so I got a couple of those. Never played them, but I know I was into the show a lot, and that's what made me really get these. And here's something. I don't know if a lot of people know these, but there was actually dot hack trading cards. And there was a card game for that. I think this is all just came from one booster pack. I was really heavily into the original dot hack games, the first 4. Sadly, never played the 4th one. Could never find it. But, yeah, I was, like, really into it. Noticed they had a card game, and I'm like, oh, shoot. This is from the anime still. But I literally just bought one booster pack of those, and that was it. So it was pretty cool to have those. And then a little bit more miscellaneous. We have the... these came with a DVD. Cyborg 009. And then my Geoffstop cards. I'm certain I have more than this. But that's really it for those. And Magic the Gathering, we won't spend too much time on this. I'll just show them off, but I mentioned earlier, these came from my father. He was big into it, and when he got out of it, he just gave these to me. And while I sold some of the newer ones to that Magic the Gathering group I was talking about, I kept these, and you can tell these are like the older ones. Like, I think the backs are different too and whatnot. I don't think I have any of the newer ones in here, but these are like all the older ones. At some point, I did organize it by what type they were, but it's probably gotten messed up over the years. What's that one? That one looks like it's been through the ringer. And I know this is probably not the best way to store these. Oh yeah, that guy's been through the ringer. But yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back into Magic again, just to have a couple cards here around, just to be able to play, because I don't even know you can actually use these in official Magic the Gathering games anymore. There's some highlights in here, like I got some of the, they released a set of cards where it's like the goofy, like just weird cards. Like there was a card for this game where you would, this was required by the card rule. You had to rip the card up, you throw the pieces, and wherever the pieces would land, that did damage to your opponent, or wherever those pieces land, to your opponent. Depending on each chunk, is like 1 point of damage. And if I'm not forgetting, it also specifically mentions if there's another game going on next to you and any of the pieces lands in their game, that actually counts as damage in that game. I could be misremembering that. But, yeah, this is just like a bunch of old Magic cards. I don't think I really have anything too fancy in here. Like the card I was just explaining, those goofy looking cards are probably the highlights. But that's it. This was just a nice little change of pace, just going through here. It's like I said, I had nothing too fancy. This was just more like just going through it. It's like, hey, I remember that. Hey, I remember that. But, yeah. That's, pretty much trading cards with me, in a nutshell. Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering was the two big ones. Those are the two I actually played. All the other ones I just collected. I am actually don't have all my cards here because the most recent one I actually started collecting for, and I gotta find them, actually. So before I end this, let me go see if I can find those other cards. Be right back. So, unfortunately, I could not find it. I have a set of Final Fantasy trading card game cards. That's the most recent ones I've been collecting, because, you know, Final Fantasy, I love Final Fantasy. But I'm like, I found this, and I'm like, oh yeah. Because I was going through this, and I'm like, in the back of my head, I was like, something's not right here. And now I realize it. There was no Magic and Trap cards in that. These is where all the Trap and Magic cards are stored. This was my brother's old binder, but that's what ended up happening. I moved, once he gave me the cards, the cards he gave me, I just ended up organizing all the monsters in one, and then all the Trap and Magic cards in another one. But we'll quickly go through this, since, we're approaching at 45 minutes at this point, going by the camera here. But yeah. I was like in the back of my head, it's like, something's missing here. But these were all the Trap cards and Magic cards that are currently in my hands. I think Griffin's Wing was one that was in a video game pack. These aren't organized. They're literally just, here's Trap cards, here's Magic cards. I don't know, maybe I'll have to go through these and value some of them. But yeah, I'm just going through this quickly since the video is getting pretty long at this point. Threatening Roar was one I used quite a bit. Then we get into the Magic cards. Swords of Revealing Light, Tribute to the Doom. I remember using that one. There was one particular episode of GX. I don't know if it's in, if it's gonna come up. I don't remember if I have that one or not. But if it comes up, I'll point it out. But there was this episode of GX where this guy impersonates Yugi. If, like, Yugi's cards are, like, being in a museum display or something? I don't remember the exact plot of that episode. But the guy steals his deck, mimics Yugi, and his voice was hilarious. He's like, Monster Reincarnation. I'm like, Yugi didn't use Monster Reincarnation. He used Monster Reborn. Well, it's banned, so he has to use Monster Reincarnation now. I was like, oh, okay. Slime breeding machine, I remember using that quite... Or jam. Was it jam? Yeah, jam breeding machine, I remember using that quite a bit. H. Necker Valley, that was very essential for Gravekeepers, if I'm not misremembering. I know, I remember using it with the Gravekeepers. Quite a bit of magic cards here. Hey, there's Monster Reborn. That card, if I'm not mistaken, is still banned. You can't use it. Same with Dark Hole. Cannot use those cards. Maybe. Card Shuffle was another one I used quite a bit. I'm not seeing Monster Reincarnation. Okay, so that's the magic. What are these? Oh, there's even more. Oh my god. There it is. There we go. Monster Reincarnation. If I can find a clip of that, I'm going to insert it.
Monster Reincarnation!
So there is more. Okay, that's right, because it ended with T's, didn't it? Oh my god. There's so much Yu-Gi-Oh cards here than I realized. That was another thing, too. I was like, oh, it ended at T's. I guess I didn't have anything after T. I gotta get like a really big, thick binder. Witch of the Black Forest. Yeah, that was a card I used quite a bit. Just a little bit longer here, folks. There's another one of those I was mentioning earlier. Back in the day, I remember, I think it was EB Games, if I'm not mistaken. They actually had Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I remember buying a pack, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Don't know where those ended up at, those Japanese ones. Could not tell you. War of Illusions. Yeah, some of these I remember using in my deck, so... That is the cat just running into everything. Cats are silly. They're very, very silly. Jeez. Did I really have this many? Ah. The synchro. Kind of ordered here. Here's even more magic cards. Maybe I was like in the middle of organizing these and just never got around to them. Because these look like they're alphabetized compared to the other ones. Ancient Gear Factory. Big Bang Shoot. Not to be confused with Big Bang Age. Or just the Big Bang in general. Change of Heart. I have quite a bit of those. Cup of Ace. I don't know why it reminded me of it, but there was a Twitter. I don't even know if they're still doing it anymore. There was a Twitter that used to take old baseball cards. Actually, I think it started as a Tumblr before it went to Twitter. Where they took old baseball cards, football cards, and whatnot, and just like doodled over them, like darkening out certain letters to spell different things. That was a pretty funny thing. I wonder if like any like high tier, like baseball collecting enthusiasts saw those Tumblr posts and just like flipped out. It's like, you're ruining those cards that only cost a nickel. It's history, man. In all honesty, though, I think most of those cards was like 90s baseball cards. Because that's when like the speculation boom happened, where like... Because that was the thing with comic books, too. The speculation boom was like, this is a #1. It's going to be valuable in years. And it never does. Like, unless you're like stupidly popular... it's at least in terms of comics, and even in like the baseball game, baseball cards as well. Like, unless you're like some big major thing, like, oh yeah, Spider-Man #1, Batman's first appearance, Superman's first appearance, and stuff like that. Like Babe Ruth, like original Babe Ruth trading cards, I'm sure are worth quite a bit. Look, it's a VR headset. So many trading cards. Do people still do land cards? Is that still a thing that people do in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I wonder? Because that seemed like, even then, I don't think a lot of people actually, at least in my circle of people who played Yu-Gi-Oh! Back then, nobody really used land cards. Polymerization. Hey, there we go. The card everybody's been waiting for. So I do got one. The legend himself. Pot of Greed. I remember having a Jar of Greed, too. It's funny that he became popularized. And now there's cards that like go around, like can counteract him, that plays along with him. Good old Pot of Greed. Reloads come up quite a bit. Yeah, these are like... This second half is more organized than the first half. Sword and Shield. I don't know, I always liked that card. I always liked that card design. Soul Exchange. It's pretty good. Soul Release. I always like the sword cards. Like, they had some really cool sword designs in them. He looks so cheerful. I always saw this guy in traps and magic cards, and I'm like, is he an actual monster card? And he is, actually. Unleash your power. Speaking of the devil, here's the trap cards. Okay. So these are organized trap cards in this. Okay. And we are nearing an hour. Oh boy. Curse of Royal. The D tribe. My brother, he played a dragon deck. That was his big thing. I remember that. I don't know, that card specifically reminded me of that. Because, Maybe I was the one that used this against him whenever I played him. All monsters on your side of the field are treated as dragons. Right, because I think he played dragon cards that, like, boost dragons throughout the whole field, not just one side. So I used that to turn my cards into dragon types if the situation called for it. Dragon Capture Jar, I remember that one. False. Pretty cool. Mask of Weakness. That was the one I played a lot. Plus, I like that mask design, too. I think that's a pretty cool mask. And we're getting close to the end here. But yeah, unfortunately, I could not find the Final Fantasy trading cards. Once I find them, I'm actually probably going to go and get some more of those. And maybe I'll do another video on that. I wish we sold those at Walmart, but I can only find those in, like, dedicated shops that do cards. Like the local game store I was talking about, which I have not been to in quite a while because, you know, the pandemic. They are open now. They closed for a good bit there, but they open up, so, you know, hopefully everything's all right with them. Maybe I'll chance it and take a trip over there one of my days off. And that's it. That is everything. That's the rest of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I thank anybody who stuck it out for this long. My Yu-Gi-Oh cards in this baseball card album. But yeah, that's the cards I have, other than the Final Fantasy game, the Final Fantasy trading card game cards I can't find. But yeah, this was nice just to take a glance through. You know, just take an hour just to go through, just remember some of the good times. And yeah, trading cards. I'm kind of thinking about getting into two. At the very least, I want to buy some more of the Final Fantasy ones just to get that collection going again. I'll have to find them somewhere. But thanks for everybody who checked out and glanced through this. And you know, if you saw anything and you're like, hey, you want to trade something for that one, or hey, do you want that one? You know, send me a thing. If you really want to get in contact with me, just go through Twitter. My Twitter's on my YouTube page. Just go through Twitter. It's easier to contact me that way. But anyway, this has been fun. And I like to do some more videos like this. And on that note, having gone through my closet, I realized how big of a mess this place is. And one of these days, I'm going to get my video game room together and actually present that, because I think that would be really cool and would make a really cool video. But regardless, thanks for stopping by, and have a wonderful day.